My name is Yasin Osman. I'm a USAID Foreign Service Officer. We're here today to discuss index insurance for smallholder farmers for the AgriLinks video note. I have the pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Shukri Ahmed from the FAO. Dr. Shukri, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dr. Ahmed, could you explain to us why risk is so important in rain-fed agriculture?
Yes, rain-fed agriculture is beset by huge risks. Some of them are specific to the household and to the individual, and some of them affect the whole village or the whole area. These are called covariate risks. These types of risks which affect the whole villages are actually the most pervasive ones in rain-fed agriculture, because weather is usually unpredictable and becoming more so.
Can you explain how insurance has the potential to change the dynamic?
I think before we go into that, these types of risks, specifically the risks that affect whole villages, the covariate risks, create a situation where the households or the farmer is inhibited from investing in agriculture. Modern agricultural inputs like fertilizer or improved seeds, although they could be available, they will not be used by these farmers which are facing huge risks for fear that they will lose their assets. So these kinds of inhibitions create a situation of low productivity, and low productivity means low growth, and these kinds of households usually are entrapped in poverty. The availability of a tailored insurance to these types of households is lacking. Financial services in developing countries are not available, and these create a situation where the farmers, on the one hand, inhibited from using their own resources, on the other hand, not having the necessary financial services like insurance, like microcredit in the areas that they reside. So this creates a vicious cycle of low productivity and poverty.
By input, you're specifically referring to fertilizer, and if so, can you speak a little bit about the potential gains that could be made through increasing the use of fertilizer?
Yes. I think generally the fertilizer use is one aspect of inputs, but there's also improved seeds, and generally these inputs that the farmer would need, normally called modern inputs, would actually have the potential to increase the farmer's productivity and thereby increase the income of the smallholder farmers. So with this situation, by combining the insurance with credit, we are trying to unlock the puzzle that is now facing the smallholder farmers in developing countries, of not having on the one hand the credit that they would need for these inputs, but on the other hand they shy away from investing in these because there is the potential that they will lose all that they have invested on if a drought occurs.
You touched on an important point, which is the risk aversion that often are displayed by smallholder farmers, that leads to low input, low output investment strategies, and we often see low uptake on improved technology that could lead to higher productivity, higher incomes for farmers. And insurance offers an interesting solution to some of these problems. And can you explain how this dynamic will be changed potentially, or how index insurance specifically has the potential to change this dynamic?
Yes. Insurance in general has problems, especially when it comes to rain-fed agriculture and when it comes to large number of smallholder farmers. Because for the insurance providers, that is a very difficult situation to handle. A lot of the farmers, it needs a lot of cost in general to actually function in a situation that is optimal for both the insurance provider as well as to the farmers. Index insurance now gives us a situation whereby an objectively measured situation or index that is easily explainable to the farmer, but on the other hand that cuts costs for the insurance provider, is now seen as one way of getting the services of insurance to the smallholder farmers in developing countries.
So can you speak to us a little bit about the activity in Ethiopia specifically and how your pilot will combine both credit and insurance?
Well, the Ethiopian project actually, which is interlinking index insurance with credit, is one of the pilot projects that we're trying in Ethiopia to unlock the puzzle of having for farmers credit on the one hand, but also on the other to insure them from the vagaries of nature like droughts and weather. The project now has just started this year, and it actually tries to have an insurance product, an index insurance product for farmers, and by using that index insurance product as collateral, farmers are supposed to actually access credit from banks. Both the insurance company and the bank are private sector companies in Ethiopia, and this is actually the first time that we have ever brought together a bank that is a private sector willing to actually lend to smallholder farmers. So in that sense, we are pioneers in the provision of financial services to smallholder farmers.
Designing adequate insurance contracts is very challenging. Can you maybe, in your words, describe some of the challenges, for example, basis risk,
Yes.
moral hazard, and so
Yes.
forth?
Yes, designing an appropriate index is a challenge now. It is an area that is developing. Agrometeorologists and other scientists now are trying to help in developing an appropriate index, whether it is in Ethiopia or other countries. Every area has its own unique feature. On the one hand, we have a problem of data. Meteorological stations are not available. The infrastructure in poor countries is almost non-existent. We have few meteorological stations. These create from the outset a problem of data. Unless you have a large data set for so many years, it is difficult to actually know the distribution of rainfall. And that distribution of rainfall is the basis to create the index. And that index then becomes actually the basis for insurance. So from the outset, we have a data problem and we have an infrastructural problem. We need bigger investment in that. On the other hand, appropriate and simple design of indices is required. That means farmers who are usually not educated or illiterate in certain cases need to understand what that index is all about. And in this case, the simpler it is, the better. Usually there are crop models that are complicated, and these are not easily explainable to smallholder farmers. So for farmers, the basic thing is making it simple on the one hand, while also having the necessary requirements of covering the distribution of rainfall in the area, and also to determine when a rainfall is either below or above a certain requirement for the insurance to trigger.
I also think it's also important to note that this is not the first pilot in index insurance, that there had been a series of pilots in the past, and that there have been lessons learned, and that index insurances are being developed to sort of fit particular locations, and that it's from the success of the past, things have been moved forward quite a bit.
Yes, there are a lot of pilot projects that are being done. On the one hand, to develop the indices, and there is a lot of lessons learned from there, and one is building on the other, and this is a positive thing. Other aspects of the index insurance is it is tried in different environments. Environments like livestock, environments like crop production, environments like cash crop production like cotton or tea or whatever. So in different parts of the world, this experience is giving us a wealth of knowledge to actually build on. And the pilot project that we're doing in Ethiopia also is a step in that direction of building the knowledge of having the best possible index.
Right, yeah, exactly. And USAID, under the I4 initiative and under its Chris Grants, has supported many of the research that have been conducted by yourself and your colleagues. So, Dr. Ahmed, going forward, how do you see USAID integrating insurance into its programming?
Integrating index insurance into the overall program of USAID in particular, but also in other development interventions in general, is very important. As we said, risk is one of the main factors that is inhibiting farmers from investing in agriculture. Financial institutions are not lending to farmers exactly because of that. And such development partners to developing countries, specifically USAID, that is at the forefront of investing in smallholder agriculture, taking on index insurance as one of their interventions in the overall program is very important, in that it makes smallholder farmers bold enough to invest in their agriculture, and the financial services and the financial sector also becomes emboldened or encouraged to lend to smallholder farmers. The final result, of course, being increased productivity, increased income, and growth in agriculture.
So it can simultaneously improve resilience and increase investments?
Yes. I think in the end, resilience is increased when incomes are increased, when assets are increased, and those come from production. Crop production growth, and growth in productivity means higher income. Higher income means diversification of income. Diversification of income means resilience. So all these things together, yes, they will help in the end the smallholder farm.
When do you see your first results coming in?
We have started actually in Ethiopia our baseline surveys. Already very good results are coming from the baseline surveys. The baseline surveys are situations before the intervention of this project. How do households do their business? Where do they get their credit from? How do they get? To what extent they get their credit? Would they get credit for their inputs? If they do, how do they pay? What financial services are available? What is the demand for credit? What is the demand for insurance? All these types of questions now have been asked already, and the data is almost ready for analysis. So the baseline survey is already giving us some interesting results. The actual work has started this year. It was late in its start. Already some results are coming in, and we hope to have more results in the coming 2 to 3 years, and that is the project's actually period.
Okay, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Shukri, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.